In the depths of a Utah canyon, a weekend of bonding between two brothers turns into a nightmare. A simple mistake leaves one brother badly injured.
It was the worst pain I'd ever felt in my life.
Soaking, frozen, and miles from the canyon's exit, the other has no choice but to find a way out, alone in the dark.
It just continued to get worse and worse and worse.
But in such perilous terrain, can he even escape, let alone bring help before the sub-zero conditions kill his injured brother?
The scary element about technical canyoneering is once you go over a rappel, unless you leave your climbing rope there, you have no way back out. You have no choice but to continue.
The canyon has proven to be far more difficult than the brothers expected. They're now hours behind schedule.
The tension was increasing, the pressure was on. We really needed to get a move on. Well, it wasn't more than 100 yards, and we ran into a huge chokestone.
No, that's not on the trail notes.
It becomes basically a barrier that you need to climb up and over.
Got some water.
The last thing we wanted to do was fall down into one of these pools and get wet.
This looks pretty good. I think I can take this.
Well, let me get back up there.
I was confident that we could down climb it and not have any problem.
Jeremy, wait! Ah! Jer! Jeremy! Jeremy!
I remember when I heard that splash, that was the last thing that I wanted to hear at that point.
Jeremy! 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 Jeremy, are you okay? Are you okay?
I can't believe I just did that.
Hold on, dear, I'm coming.
Both hypothermia and frostbite were a major concern. It's the end of November and it's in Utah. I don't know exactly what the temperature was during the day, but it was well below freezing.
Freezing? There's no way we're climbing out of here.
Just double time the rest of the canyon. Get back to camp.
Dusk is just 3 hours away and the temperature's dropping fast. Justin and Jeremy will have to move even quicker now if they're to have any chance of getting out of the canyon before dark.
More fire. Hot cuts are real good right now.
I think we were even in a bigger hurry after that happened. I know I definitely was.
All right.
Now the weather, which has been deteriorating all day, takes a dramatic turn for the worse.
It probably wasn't 10, 15 minutes before there was maybe an inch of snow. It was very cold. And then we hit another big chokestone. I remember looking down over the back of it and looking at that pool and thinking, oh great, water again.
You think this canyon has something against us, do you?
Yeah, I think it might just.
It was a very tricky down climb, even though it wasn't far. There were very few handholds and very few places to stand on the way down.
And footing was a little slippery because of the snow.
I'm slipping. I'm glad you were there.
And I remember just holding on to his hand because that was the firmest thing that I had to hold on to.
Okay.
I remember feeling a shift in his movement and believing he was going to jump to the floor because it really wasn't that far. I let go.
And the next thing I know, I'm basically falling.
Justin!
I knew without a doubt I had just broken my leg, and all I could do was scream. It was the worst pain I'd ever felt in my life.
calm down.
I had never quite heard someone scream in pain like that. It was a really helpless feeling to hear him scream like that in pain and not be able to do anything for him.
Just take it easy, brother. Get up and help me. Take it out of the water. Come on.
And I could really feel how bad he was hurt. It was very obvious that that there were things in places where they shouldn't be.
It's really bad.
Justin's shin bone is shattered in 6 places. Internal bleeding is already restricting blood flow to other parts of his body. They don't know it, but this injury could kill him.
Okay. What time is it?
I remember thinking that my brother has an artificial hip.
Well, 5 hour check back to the car.
When I looked in Jeremy's eyes, I could tell just how scared he was.
Really bad. You got maybe an hour of light.
I was gonna leave him there and hike out, which is really hard to do. For the fact that, 1, it's my brother that I know and love very much, and 2, that real soon I'm gonna be by myself.
Okay, you're gonna have to move me. Up against the wall, out of the wind. You ready? Okay, just do it, do it!
I think both of us knew just how serious of a situation we were in.
Justin's in real danger. Between his injured leg and the freezing temperatures, his chances of survival decrease with every passing hour. Jeremy needs to move on. It's another 4 miles to the side canyon exit, and the light is fading fast.
That's the side canyon there, right?
I'll just crow's nest it up here, double time it back to the car, call for help.
Just take it one step at a time. How you feeling?
Good, considering I've never been this scared.
When we started divvying things out and going through the backpack, we came across my camera. And one of the last things that we did was take a picture of each other, because I remember saying, well, we better take a picture of each other if we don't ever see each other again.
I thought that maybe I might never see him again. And those things, yeah, those things go through your head.
Remember what I was saying about you being my least favorite brother?
I never liked you much either.
Hey, chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you think the hike's going so far? Be careful.
Okay.
I could see him for a while before he went out of sight. And I remember telling him, think happy thoughts. And you can do it.
According to the trail notes, Jeremy should be out of the canyon in 4 hours. But so far, the route has proven more difficult and far slower than expected.
I think we were both pretty confident that I was going to be out soon and I could call someone and we'd get him out of that canyon. Had no idea what was really going to happen.
3 British mountaineers attempt the climb of their lives in Alaska. But within sight of the summit, the weather stops them in their tracks.
Stay!
When frostbite threatens the life of one climber, the others must decide. Stay together and hope for a rescue that may never come, or leave their friend behind.
If we leave Nigel here, he dies.
One man risks his life to go for help alone. But tragedy strikes. He faces almost certain death, knowing his friends have little hope of rescue.
I've let them down. I've let my mates down, and they're probably going to die.
Have a placement. It's good. Solid. Good. Solid. Good. Solid.
All of a sudden there's a crack. And I'm off. The adrenaline's going, and I'm thinking so fast that these seconds I'm falling feels like minutes. There's absolutely no way I can plant this ice axe to stop my fall. It would just rip my arm out of the socket. I need to stop.
Steve has fallen around 1,100 feet.
Oh, I can't believe I'm still alive. The fall should have killed me.
Steve has severely injured both his legs. The right is fractured, but his left is shattered in 12 places. He's over 17,000 feet up, and in his condition a huge distance from the route where he had hoped to find help. Over 2,000 feet above him, his friends are waiting for the rescue that may now never come.
We still can't eat or drink anything, and this is almost 36 hours after we'd set off. So, you know, it's a long time to go without taking anything on board. There is little we can do to stay warm without using our energies up. Not knowing quite what the next step is going to be. And we're telling kiddies jokes, which aren't very funny.
How do you keep a dog from smelling?
Hold his nose.
Listen. Listen. Steve's got down and given him our position. We're gonna be okay.
You're listening and listening and listening and thinking to yourself, fantastic. This could be it.
Help! Help!
I can hear helicopters. You can hear the chopper blades coming round and round the mountain.
Help!
Thinking to myself, are they looking for us? There's a rescue party coming up the mountain now, or we're going to be safe. And the blades go away and sink into the distance.
At this kind of altitude, a helicopter rescue is virtually impossible. Whatever they can hear, it's unlikely that it's deliverance. Beneath them, Steve is critically injured, but is making a heroic effort to drag himself to where he can be spotted by other climbers. His injuries are so bad he might not live. But Steve believes that if he fails, all 3 of them will die on the mountain.
I've got to gain access to the popular route where people will be coming up. But my only hope is going back up the ice chute I've just fallen down. I've still got the crampon on my right leg, and I'm using that right leg to purchase me up. I can feel the bone grating as I'm going. I get so far up, and my crampon slips, and I'm sliding back down again. On the way down, I bang my left leg. Pain's quite excruciating now. I need to take a look at my legs and see what condition they're in. I roll up my trousers. The bone on my left leg is sticking through the skin. I'm really concerned now that I might bleed to death. And try to put pressure on the wound to stem the flow. Now I'm pressing down onto bone end and just raw fibres showing through the skin.
In the heart of the Alaskan wilderness, a father and son set out on the trip of a lifetime. Then, disaster strikes.
Watch out, Flint! Hold on!
Swept under an ice shelf, they fight for their lives in freezing water.
Dad, you're gonna swim!
They've lost everything and are at the mercy of prowling predators. The son faces a terrible dilemma. Stay with his father and wait for a rescue that may never come, or leave him and risk hiking out through 60 miles of dangerous terrain for help. They've been rafting for just a couple of hours when they notice that the river is changing.
Blake! Ice! Oh yeah, thought it would all be melted by now. Yeah, me too.
For 6 months of the year, the rivers are choked with ice. During the summer, it all melts. But this early in the season, some patches have yet to thaw.
The longer we floated, the more ice we actually started to encounter.
It doesn't look like it's gonna let up. Do you think we ought to stop this thing?
The current's picking up speed, and Blake struggles to control the raft.
I kept trying to look around the corner, hoping to find, which way we were going to be going. And that's when I realized that actually we didn't have a choice where we were going.
The men are at the mercy of the current.
We're gonna have to pull in and stop this. I'm trying, Dad. I can't slow it down, though. We're going too fast. Like, slow it down, Dad.
It was sheer panic at the time, and it happened so quickly, there wasn't much time at all to think. The next thing I actually remember was being pulled right underneath the ice.
There was so little time to realize what had happened, except that it was a real problem.
It wasn't long before we came up in essentially an air chamber underneath the ice.
The air pocket saves their lives, but the ice shelf could stretch on for miles.
I remember looking over at my father, yelling at him.
Blake yelled,
Dad, I'm sorry.
Of course, it wasn't his fault.
Give my hand!
Blake manages to grab Neil's hand, but the current's too strong. His dad is swept away beneath the ice. The men are spat out from under the ice shelf, but their ordeal isn't over yet.
We were being carried rapidly toward the second ice shelf. I saw it coming. I reached up and grabbed it to try to prevent from going under it. Of course, the river was such that I was carried underneath.
The roof of this ice shelf is even lower than the last.
And the second ice shelf had no room to breathe.
I really thought I had taken my last breath. My father and I both ended up with a lot of abrasions to the top of our heads because we kept trying to come up to the air that we were hoping was there. I've never thought of a worse way of dying than drowning, and was certainly thinking that that is how I was going to die. After being under that water for what seemed like an eternity, I just remember popping out, taking in a nice big breath of air. At this time, I had no idea where my father was. He had been pushed up against something and trapped.
Dad! Dad! Dad!
I don't know how I would have been able to face my mother and the rest of my family, letting them know that my father had perished, you know, when I had made it. And the next thing I remember seeing was his head above the water.
The powerful current is sweeping Neil away.
It didn't appear like he was making any attempt to get out of the river, and for all I knew, he was injured and couldn't.
Neil's disorientated, but somehow he catches hold of a rock and hauls himself out. Blake knows that his dad has got to get to shore fast before he's paralyzed by cold and shock.
And Blake, in the meantime, is yelling at me, and I can't hear him above the roar of the river. So eventually I managed to get my breath long enough to tell him to shut up.
Will you let me think for a minute?
Blake was telling me that I had to swim over to him, which was the last thing in the world I wanted to do.
Dad! Come get!
Getting back in the river is dangerous, but Blake knows it's his dad's only chance.
Come on, Dad! You can do it! You can do it, Dad! Dad! Oh my God, you're freezing. Dad, come here. I'm so sorry, Dad. It's okay. It's okay. It was just bad luck. Bad luck.
As a doctor, Blake knows that his dad's in the first stages of hypothermia.
I thought you were gone.
The second I got him out, I realized he was shaking uncontrollably. It was mild seizure-like.